Well, good day and welcome to the Story of America. And welcome to a very dire and important episode of the Story of America. Tonight, we are going to unpack perhaps the single greatest political scandal in American history. Rhett and I have covered over the purpose of the Constitution when we talked about and covered the entire Federalist Papers last year. But now I think it is even more apparent that the Constitution be read so that the corruption can be seen without the veil of media covered. So allow me a moment to read the Constitution, particularly U.S. Constitution Article 2, before we get started. Give me a second here to open us up here. I feel like I turned to the Constitution more often than anybody else. Now, I'm going to read the entirety of Article 2 of the Constitution, and this is very important because this is going to give us the context for what we're going to talk about today. If you're wondering why I may sound different or why my green screen isn't put up behind me like it normally is, it's because I'm in a different setup. The job had a new contract. They set the new computer, so I've had to alter my my workspace, where I had to move my personal computer to the living room as opposed to where it is in my bedroom usually, to make space for the office equipment. But Section 1 of Article 2, important. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States. He shall hold his office during a term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term be elected as follows. This is very important. I want to read that over again. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States, and he shall hold his office during a term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all certificates, and the number of votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. If no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if there should remain two or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. No person except a natural born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to the office who shall have not attained the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. In the case of removal of the president from office, or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the president and vice president, declaring that officers shall then act as president, and such officers shall act accordingly until disability be removed, or a president shall be elected. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected. He shall not receive within that period any other emoluments from the United States or any of them. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath of affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully, hold on a second here. Welcome to the show, man. Just give me a few moments here to finish the monologue. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Section 2 of Article 2. The President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. When called into the actual service of the United States, he may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices. And he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in the cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and which the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur, and he shall nominate, and by which the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers, and councils and judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. The Congress may, by law, vest the appointments of such inferior officers as they think proper in the president alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The president shall have the power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. Section 3 of Article 2. He shall from time to time give to Congress the information of the state of the Union and recommend to them to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in the case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers, and he shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission that all offices of the and shall commission all the officers of the United States. Section 4. The President of the United States and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. And just before I finish up, I want to outline treason as it is written by the Constitution. In Article 3, which relates to the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, it is outlined in Article 3, Section 3, that this is the definition of treason. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them being the United States, or in adhering to their enemies and giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act on confession in open court. The Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. Now, why is this so important? I'm going to explain that in just a moment. But before that, I want to draw some correlations. Joseph R. Biden has a history of corruption since his first years in the Senate, 50 years ago almost. From his time and his affiliation with the Ku Klux Klan, to his remarks about Black people, to his on-tape admissions to quid pro quo bribery schemes. The list goes on. So let's go dive into a little bit of history. Joe Biden has run for office 3 times, failed twice. The first time was in 74, if I remember correctly. Biden ran for office and dropped out of the race because he lied. It was called, and not only a lie, but in plagiarism. But Biden has a massive history of lying. The NAACP had to come out and say that they did not endorse Joe Biden, and have never endorsed the candidate before. When Joe Biden came out pandering to Black people, saying that the NAACP has endorsed him every single time he's run for office. Well, wouldn't that be quite a shame? I mean, Biden's also said that he was in jail with Nelson Mandela. Well, Biden was never in jail with Nelson Mandela, and Biden never even attended a protest with Nelson Mandela. But speaking on the lies dealing with Black people, wouldn't it be hilarious if Joe Biden received endorsement from the NAACP when he single-handedly cost black schools $40 billion in 1974, when he single-handedly sponsored a bill with the aid of James Eastland and Robert Burke and other Klansmen in the Senate at the time to stop busing and the integration of schools. Wouldn't that be hilarious if Joe Biden was able to receive that nomination? Well, nominally so. I think we can give Joe Biden this one just a little bit because the NAACP, in their attack against Ron DeSantis, have essentially endorsed Joe Biden. Because if you are going to put Florida on a travel advisory because Ron DeSantis refuses to teach gay sex to students in high schools and lower grades than that even, and you say that that's racist and that's violence. But the NAACP, the last I checked, never came out and said a damn thing when Joe Biden said that if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That he learned about cockroaches from black people and black children sitting on his lap. And then he loved black children sitting on his lap. The NAACP didn't come out and say anything when Joe Biden called us niggers on live TV in January in 2021. The NAACP didn't come out and say anything when Joe Biden said that black people were too stupid to use a computer, to use the internet, to access information about COVID vaccinations in 2021. So, being that the NAACP hasn't come out and said anything against any of that, but has come out and attacked Donald Trump, the only president in the last 40 or 50, maybe even 60 years, to give them even an iota of money that's worth anything for historically black colleges and universities, and they come out and attack Ron DeSantis, you can probably give this one to Joe, that indirectly the NAACP is sponsoring Joe Biden. Another thing about Joe Biden, we know that Joe Biden is morally bankrupt. Well, how do we know that? Well, in addition to lying, Joe Biden, if we're going to go follow the lines of impeachment, well, Bill's not the only one who cheated on his wife. Joe Biden cheated on his wife with the babysitter, then Jill Biden at the time. And shortly after Joe Biden's wife and daughters died in a tragic car crash that Joe Biden also lied about, accusing the driver of the truck of being drunk when he wasn't. Joe Biden shortly after that married the babysitter, Jill Biden, who he had an intimate relationship before he and his wife had even split up. Well, his wife were never split up. His wife died, and he went directly into the hands of the babysitter. Joe Biden also has a history, as we all know, of racial remarks, which I won't get into today, not right at the moment. But he also has a history of corruption that deals from bribery and scandals that surround Joe Biden. Joe Biden, according to the documents, has been stealing documents from the United States as a senator, which is against the law, mind you, since 1972, which was the year he became a senator. So he's been stealing documents since year number one. So I want to move on here. I don't want to stick on Joe Biden all night. So, Lord Owlman, my buddy, my friend, I'm going to cover a couple of things here. In August of 2022, we got this. This is the warrant, the affidavit to support the application for Rule 41, the warrant to search and seize the house of the former president of the United States, President Donald Trump. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, the government, it says here in the introduction to agent and background, that the government is conducting a criminal investigation concerning the improper removal and storage of classified documents in unauthorized spaces, as well as unlawful concealment and removal of government records. The investigation began as a result of a referral from the United States National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, sent to the United States Department of Justice on February 9th, 2022. Hereinafter, NARA referral. So the NARA referral stated that on January 18th, 2022, in accordance with the Presidential Records Act, that NARA received from the office of the former President Donald J. Trump, hereinafter as the former POTUS, via representatives with 15 boxes of records, hereinafter the 15 boxes which have been transported from the POTUS property to 1100 South Ocean Boulevard, Palm Beach, Florida, hereinafter the premises. The residence club known as Mar-a-Lago, further described in attachment A, where reported by NARA to contain, among other things, highly classified documents intermingled with other records. Okay, so why is this important to understand? Well, according to the affidavit, this says here that I make this affidavit in support of the application of Rule 41 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure for warrant and search of the premises known as Mar-a-Lago, or the premises, as further described in attachment A for the things described in attachment B, which I also have attachment A and B, based upon the following facts. The probable cause is to believe that the locations in search at the premises contain evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, and other items legally possessed in violation of 18 U.S. Code Section 793E 1519 or 2071. Well, it's important to outline what those are. Under the source of evidence in this indictment, in this warrant, the facts set forth in this indictment are based on my personal knowledge obtained by my participation in its investigation and information obtained from the FBI and U.S. government personnel. Because this affidavit is submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause in support of the application for a search warrant, it does not set forth in every fact that I or others have learned during the course of this investigation. So this is the wonderful thing about this warrant, is that it outlines the statutes that they used. So under 18 USC section 793E, whoever having unauthorized possession of access to or control over any document or information relating to the national defense, which information the possessor has reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States or the advantage of any foreign nation, willfully communicates, delivers, transmutes, or causes to be communicated, delivered, or transmuted, or attempts to do or cause the same to any person not entitled to receive it, or willfully retains the same and fails to deliver it to the officer or employee of the United States entitled to receive it, shall be fined or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. Well, what's so important about that? Well, the President of the United States is the executive branch in its entirety. As I mentioned when I read the Constitution, NARA is not the executive branch. The CIA is not the executive branch. The DOJ is not the executive branch. The FBI is not the executive branch. None of these people have any authority to make the rules on anything in the executive branch. All of that is strictly the President of the United States. It's all the president's power. And considering that the president never loses their security clearance, it's hard to say that a president can break 18 USC 793 because the president cannot have unauthorized possession of these records because the president, as the executive, is the one who gets to decide who gets to have such records. Nobody else can make that decision. And when the president takes those records from the White House and takes them to his personal home, he made the decision that he can have those documents. And there's not a damn thing that any agency can do about it because the president doesn't answer to them, they answer to him. Now, going on further, under Executive Order 1352-6, information in any form may be classified if it, one, is owned by, produced, or by, or for, or is under the control of the United States government, falls within one or more of the categories set forth by the executive order: top secret, secret, or confidential. And 3, is classified by organization or by the original classification authority, who determines that its unauthorized disclosure reasonably could be expected to result in the damage of national security. Now, what I do love about this is this doesn't even talk about the president's right to declassify information. So let's move on to the next ringing bell in this warrant. And there's a reason why I'm talking about these codes for the warrant, and you're going to see why in a moment. And remember, keep in mind 18 USC 793, 1519, and 2071. Under 1519, 18 USC, whoever knowingly alters, destroys, mutilates, conceals, covers up, falsifies, or makes false injury in any record, document, or tangible object with the intent to impede, obstruct, or influence the investigation or proper administration of any matter within the jurisdiction of any department or agency of the United States, or any case filed under Title 11, or in any relation to the contemplation of any such matter or case, shall be fined under the title, imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both. 18 USC 2071. Part A. Whoever willfully, unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so, with intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other things filed or deposited with any clerk or officer of any court of the United States, or in any public office, or with any judicial or public officer of the United States, shall be fined under this title, or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. Part B. Whoever, having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or anything, willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same, shall be fined under the title, or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States as used in the subsection. The term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer or the armed forces of the United States. Now, remember this. Under the PRA 44 USC 2201, number 2, the term the Presidential Records Act means documentary materials, any reasonable segregable portion thereof, created or received by the president's immediate staff, or a unit or individual of the executive office, or of the president whose function is to advise or assist the president in, in the course of conducting activities which relate to or have an effect upon carrying out the constitutional and statutory or official or ceremonial duties of the president. It includes any documentary materials relating to the political activities of the president or members of the president's staff, but only if such activities to relate to or have direct effect upon the carrying out of constitutional, statutory, or other official and ceremonial duties of the president, but does not include any documentary materials, official records of the agency as defined in 52 as 552E of the United States Code, personal records, stocks of publications of stationaries, or extra copies of documents produced only for the convenience of reference when such copies were clearly identified. Government records are defined under 44 USC 3301. All recorded information, regardless of the form of characteristics made or received by a federal agency under federal law or in connection with the transaction of public business and preserved or appropriate for preservation by the agency or the legitimate successor of evidence, organizations, functions, policies, decisions, procedures, operations, or other activities of the United States government because of the information is valued in them. So their claim in this document was they needed to raid the president's house because they feared he may have violated one of three codes under 18 USC, which, mind you, the president literally can't violate those because he has the total power to declassify anything at will and by thought. The president doesn't have to go through a process to declassify something. As a matter of fact, this was ruled in the 2015 or 2013 Bill Clinton case, a sock drawer case, that determined that any other official of the executive branch has to go through a process to get items declassified for a particular period of time. However, as the president is the executive branch, no such limit applies to the president of the United States. This was a ruling by an Obama judge when the Hill sued Bill Clinton to try to obtain documents from Bill Clinton's sock drawer, which included tapes, video evidence, nuclear codes, nuclear secrets, maps, and much of the same stuff that Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and any other president has. So these are the outlines that they're trying to claim the president violated, and underneath this indictment, 18 USC 793E, which remember in the paperwork that we're looking at here, that 18 USC 723E is the Espionage Act. 18 USC 1512K, we didn't talk about that one because it wasn't in the warrant. 18 USC 15K B2A, not in the warrant. 18 USC 1512 C1, not in the warrant. 18 USC 1519, which was in the warrant, but we've already discussed that one. President can't violate that one. 18 USC 1001 A1, not in the warrant. 18 USC 1000 A2, not in the warrant. 18 USC number 2, also not in the warrant. So this document I've gone over it and reviewed it multiple times. And this is the part that really ticks me off about it. They are trying to say, and this is on page 5 of the somewhat 50-odd page document, the national security information owned by or produced by, for, and under the control of the United States pursuant to the executive order of April of 1995, that the president of the United States, that Donald Trump, did not have the power to look at these documents and not have the power to have these documents. The president has the power to look at all security clearances. The president has the power, even after he leaves office, to see all of these documents. The president had the power to declassify all of these documents at will. I want to also move on forward here and move to this portion here. I think this one is, this part right here is what pisses me off. This says here, the executive branch departments and agencies whose classified documents Trump retained after his presidency. Let me be clear. As I read the Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, to make this known, these documents do not belong to executive branch departments. The only member of the executive branch of government is the president. These agencies are not the executive branch. They are employees of the executive branch. They have no power over anything in the executive branch. That power is solely the president of the United States. It says here, as a part of his official duties, Trump received intelligence briefings from high-level United States government officials, including Director of Intelligence, the Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, senior White House officials as a designated briefer. The USIC's mission is to collect, analyze, and deliver foreign intelligence and counterintelligence information to America's leaders. After his presidency, Trump retained classified documents originated by these organizations: the CIA, the Department of Justice, the National Security Agency, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, the Department of Energy, the Department of State and Bureau of Intelligence Research. These agencies do not have any power to tell the president what he can and cannot have. They are not the executive branch of government. Yes, I'm here, Lord Alman. Can you hear me? Give me a second here. Let me move my microphone to another one. Give me just a second. All right. Give me just a second. Now, man, had to plug up this brag shit. Well, the Alvin Bragg indictment. That is a nuts one too, because the Alvin Bragg indictment tries to suggest that the president of the United States committed a FEC violation. But here's the kicker about the first indictment with Alvin Bragg, and there's probably going to be 5 other indictments to come out from these other liberal courts. A state attorney cannot file a federal charge. It's not possible to file a federal charge for a state attorney to do so. And even if he had the power to file a federal charge, the statute of limitations has already expired. Number 2, in relationship with this is a double jeopardy case to me, because the Stormy Daniels case was already tried in court and Trump had already won that case. Stormy Daniels had to pay restitution to the attorneys of Donald Trump because they found that he was not credible, because her testimony had changed multiple times, where she said that the alleged sexual allegations never happened. and then she would change their mind and said that they did happen. But on recordings, her and her lawyer at the time, Avenatti, said that it didn't happen. So we have all of that evidence there. But they tried to bring this up on a federal charge and make it an FEC violation. Well, the FEC was brought this case, and the FEC struck it down because it didn't qualify to them as a as a campaign finance violation. So if the FEC, which is no friend of Donald Trump, or really no friend of any political candidate, that much I can tell you, having dealt with the FEC before. If the FEC said that there was nothing there, what makes you think that it can be elevated to that case?
Well, this is my point. This is my point, and this is what the general public doesn't know, that the FEC already cleared Donald Trump of this bullshit. Stormy Daniels already admitted in a sworn deposition that it never happened, then switched the story the minute she got with Avenatti. And what Alvin Bragg is trying to bring up is, Alvin Bragg is trying to say that President Trump, if he did make the payment, he should have paid her from his campaign finance. Doesn't that violate campaign finance rules?
Yes,
so
it does.
If he did pay her and paid her out of pocket, what's that to do with the FEC? What is it? Can you explain that to me, please, sir?
Exactly. So Alvin Bragg's assertion is that because if this payment did happen, it seems like it was paid by Michael Cohen out of Michael Cohen's own personal bank account, which makes it seem to me like Michael Cohen was the one that was sleeping around, not Trump. But what Alvin Bragg's assertion is that hush money payments should be paid out of the campaign finance fund. Well, in the state of California and in the state of New York, hush money payments are perfectly legal and
exactly.
and are done all the time.
Fucking white guy, and he said, "Well, if I put a Corvette in my campaign fucking video." What was the guy? He was like some big Christian motherfucker, and he got hit with campaign finance. Well, if they found him not guilty, oh, look at Bill Clinton with what is it, Jennifer Flowers? How much did Clinton pay her?
$800,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I want to charge Donald Trump. Now, this is the second point I want to get to. The E. Jean Carroll defamation lawsuit. This woman, excuse me, claimed that Donald Trump had sexual relations with her in the bathroom of, what is it, Berghoff Goodman. Okay. She doesn't know the date. She doesn't know the year. If you look at Donald Trump, right, is that his type of woman? Is it?
You look at Donald Trump, a billionaire, most famous person in New York at the time, could have any woman he wants to. And you mean to tell me that he goes to Berghoff and goes right behind the cash register and fucks this old bitch behind the cash register, and there's no witnesses, no security personnel? Donald Trump hasn't been without security personnel since the 70s.
That's my point, King. You're telling me. So now, where did Donald Trump come from? Because Berghoff Goodman is on 59th and 5th. So did he walk from Trump Tower, which is on, 57th and 5th? Or did he come from the Plaza Hotel, which he owned at the time? You're telling me Donald Trump walked into this department store with no bodyguards. No bodyguards. He just walked in there dolo, saw this skinny bitch and said, "Hey, Let's go fuck behind the cash register. The nigga owns a hotel right next door. He owns the hotel right next door. How does that make sense?
Makes absolutely no sense. It's absurd. But and what I want to get back to this indictment with the documents. So remember, I outlined in the search warrant that NARA asserted that they were missing 15 boxes. So I'm pretty sure you've seen this indictment and you see the mountains of boxes that they've taken pictures of. If NARA said that they were only missing 15 boxes, why did you seize everything that was in Trump's possession?
Well, this is where I'm
if not only that, but
this is where I'm going with it, right? See, this is how fucked up the media is, and he should sue for election interference. How many documents were taken by Donald Trump? 102. 102 documents were taken. So why are they showing dozens and dozens of boxes? It's in the indictment.
Yeah, well, and not only that, NARA, at the request of the DOJ and FBI, went there, scouted out Mar-a-Lago, informed the president, the former president, of how to secure the documents, how to build the safe room for the documents, how the FBI went there and put in the security safes and created the secure room for the documents. And then they raided and said that it wasn't safe. But you guys literally put the safe room up for the president. So tell me how that makes sense.
President Trump to add extra lock?
Yes. They not only that, but they went there and scouted it out, looked at the room, told them what to do. Trump did what they advised them to do to make the room secure, and then they didn't say anything to Trump for another year and a half. It wasn't until Merrick Garland, after he received a signed waiver from Joe Biden, which waived President Trump's executive privilege, which has never been done before. This is why this is corruption at a highest level. It's never been done before, where a sitting president waives the executive privilege of a former president, which means that if Donald Trump was there, they could have shot him because he waived the protections of executive privilege, which includes Secret Service. So Joe Biden says, "Oh, I have nothing to do with this." Joe, your signature's on the paper. You had to waive the president's executive privilege. You had to sign off on the DOJ to do this.
Exactly.
Another thing.
But did you see that Garland just got questioned? And Garland, what the fuck is that? White boy. Fucking white boy. He's slick. I like him. Not Holland. The other one. He was questioning Garland. He said FBI agents are coming out saying they did not want to serve the warrant, but you made them serve. The fuck is this kid's name?
I mean, we have mountains upon mountains of evidence against Joseph Biden, because you have in there the evidence and relationship. They want to talk about security of the documentation. Well, you have Joe with documents in Chinatown, documents behind a Corvette and a garage that's not secure, hunters having crackheads and hookers and prostitutes all over that, Chinese influences and spies. Turn that off.
Oh, that's his name, Josh Howley. Josh Howley. Question Garland. And you have written statements and documents where the FBI agent said, we don't want to serve this warrant. This is not constitutional. And Garland fucking overrid it. That's the rate on Mar-a-Lago. You can look it up. It's a congressional hearing.
But I want to go over some of these charges here, because this is what Biden administration wants. They want to see Donald Trump die behind bars. Because let's take a look at this. Donald Trump is 76 years old. As a matter of fact, he just had his 77th birthday. So under US 18C 793E, maximum term 10 years in prison. Mandatory minimum term of imprisonment is not applicable. Fine, 250,000. Supervised release after 3 years. Conspiracy to obstruct justice, which he didn't obstruct justice. He can't obstruct justice. He's the executive office. A maximum prison sentence of 20 years in 20 years in prison. Minimum term not applicable. They didn't give an answer for that one because they didn't want to do a mandatory minimum term. Withholding a document or record, which you can't say that he's withholding it if they have all of the documents. Maximum term in prison, 20 years. Corruptly concealing a document. How did he conceal a document if they knew that he had the documents and went there? 20 years in prison, $250,000 fine. Concealing a document in federal investigation. He didn't conceal it because they had it. 20 years in prison. Scheme to conceal. 5 years in prison. False statements and representation. False statements were there. 5 years in prison. A conspiracy to obstruct justice. Again, they already have that in here, but they're charging him with conspiracy to obstruct twice. 20 years in prison, $250,000 fine. Willfully withholding a document, which they already have that in here as well. 20 years in prison. Probably concealing a document or record. They already have that in here as well. Another 20-year sentence. Concealing a document in a federal investigation. They have that in here already as well. Another 20-year sentence. Scheme to conceal. This is the second time we've seen this one in here. That's another 5 years. False statements. Another 5 years. So you have all of that there. Then there's another 10 years, another 20 years on another count of obstruction. Withholding documents, again, 20 years. Concealing documents in a federal investigation, 20 years. Scheme to conceal, 5 years. So one of these charges, the president's going to be 96 years old in prison. If they charge him with all of these, which I don't see how any of this can even get through a court, but they charge him with all of these, the president is going to jail for over 150 years. When he's done nothing, but Joe Biden actually broke the law. He can't. Joe Biden has documents that are 40 and 50 years old. He's had documents since 1972. A senator has no authority to take documents outside of the Senate office.
Okay, I'll get you back on that. But this is the real thing. It's not really about Donald Trump right now. They don't want DeSantis.
I don't care about DeSantis. DeSantis is the least of my concerns. I don't even like DeSantis really because he's an establishment shield. No, he's not. Donald Trump is leading DeSantis so badly that DeSantis doesn't have any hope of that.
Not Donald Trump because we both understand that this man was robbed.
No, it's not. It's not even that. When looking at the polling data right now, DeSantis is so far behind.
Trump, right? Donald Trump, I want him back in because he did right by the country. And the nigga was robbed. But if Donald Trump doesn't get the nomination, well, who do you think should?
At this point, right now, if not Donald Trump, the person that I would vote for would be Vivek Ramaswamy. I think right now he's the most genuine one out there right now, outside of Donald Trump. Tim, yes, over DeSantis. DeSantis is an establishment politician. The fact that the establishment Republicans are pushing DeSantis so hard and they're funding DeSantis so much is very worrisome. And the fact that DeSantis has a relationship with these military organizations. Vivek Ramaswamy is not proven, but neither was Donald Trump, and that's what I'm counting on for Vivek. I'm counting on Vivek because I like Vivek for his sincerity and for his ideas.
Donald Trump had a name before he even fucking ran for the presidency. Ron DeSantis has a name. Ron DeSantis is proven. Fucking Swami's not. What's he done?
Ron DeSantis, I don't trust Ron DeSantis.
Why?
His connection to the deep state is too deep. I don't think Ron DeSantis. I don't think Ron DeSantis is going to get in there and do anything that we want him to do. And looking at his thing with Florida, yeah, he's doing a really good job over in Florida. But Ron DeSantis is tackling an issue right now that's going to cause conservatives to lose massively, because conservatives have to stop talking about gay issues. They have to stop talking about abortion. They have to stop talking about Disney. They have to stop doing that, because the more that they do that, the more fuel they're putting on their funeral pyre. They have to start talking on education, on economy, and they have to start pointing out the double standard in Democrats. And DeSantis just isn't doing that. He's just going, oh, Florida's not where the woke is going to be, and all this stuff. So that's given them too much power against him.
I'm gonna have to. One, I heard a comment from a left-wing person. They said that DeSantis is more scary than Trump because he's sane. They said he is Trump with the sane mind. I thought that was fine. I thought it was very comical. Hold on. Now, you're saying that Republicans, they need to stop attacking gays? No. There is a plan put in place, and I'm not Alex Jones, I'm not anything, but there is a plan in place. That's why this gay supremacy shit is here. It's to make men weak. It's to make straight men weak. What is the strongest force in this country? It's a man. Fucking men fight wars. Men fight for laws. Men protect this country. And as soon as you start feminizing men and you're making the country not fucking believing that a man can support you, no, kid.
But that's besides the point, though, man. That's besides the point. The reason why it's a losing battle. The reason why it's a losing battle is because the way that they're going about it is alienating their voter base, because Gay people are American.
Themselves, they're doing it to themselves.
Look, oh man, we know for a fact that there are plenty of gay conservatives. Milo Yiannopoulos is a big example of that. But the way that the Republicans are doing things, until they can learn how to properly, what's the word I'm looking for? How to properly get PR on this the appropriate way. They need to stay away from it, because what they're doing right now is they're trying to make it everything that they talk about with homosexuals is always about the drag queens and all that stuff, which we're all against all of that stuff because of how it's affecting the children. But the fact is they if they want to cause
come out and say anti-gay, don't hear it.
You hear it a lot, especially on the internet.
Selves.
But the point that I'm getting across here is, man, is the way that the Republicans need to win is through the unification of all of the people, which includes gay people that have left the Democrat Party but haven't found any place that they belong. The way that they win this is by making an inclusive space and unifying all of the people that have been wronged by the Democrats. That's how they win this. And they can't do that if they're constantly at war with these other alphabet soup people, which you know how much I hate these people. But they're part of the solution.
See, what you're saying is something if we were doing in an art of war. If it's an art of war, yes, we have to eliminate that threat. What I'm saying is, I fine, let it be. You know, let it be. But at the end of the day, the shit that is destroying our country, it's attacking. And this shit is strategic. It's strategic. If you bring down the straight man, who's gonna protect you?
Hey, man, are you listening to the show at the same time as this? Because I'm about to bring in a good buddy of mine who's going to be a guest. But in order to hear him, you're gonna have to listen to the show on on Facebook at the same time.
Well, I'll do my best. I'll see what I know. I'm not technically confident, but I'll do my best.
All right. Hey, General Badass, welcome to the show, my buddy. Or should I call you my good pal Bradshaw?
How's it going?
See, this is my buddy from the APA. So you've been listening very, very patiently. So tell me, what is your concern when you look into this double standard? And I haven't even gotten to the Hunter Biden stuff yet, because we're going to talk about that soon. But what is your concern when you take a look at these indictments after the President of the United States, after seeing how the Constitution defines the executive power, the executive office, and the executive branch of government, and the powers relationship to them? How do you think this affects the country? How do you think it hurts the country, if at all?
Okay, first of all, I'm just gonna let this clear. I don't like Trump. I've never been a big fan of him.
Can you re-invite me, King? I'll get off this shit.
I'll send you another invite on Facebook, and you can try to see if you can join in with the Zoom.
All right, we can do that first. Should I wait a minute before I give the full story here?
Now keep going, because we're on a timetable. I've been going on.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't.
I'm sorry. Forgive
not
my
a big.
It's not a problem, Al, man. I'll loop you in on what he's saying.
So basically, I don't like Trump. Never liked Trump to begin with. But all this shit going down, okay. Whether you like Trump or not, later on down the road, who's to say they won't do this to someone else you like? right now it's setting a standard that we don't need in this country. That, oh, hey, I don't like this guy, we're gonna go legally destroy him with stuff pulled out of our ass. Like so here's, just because I don't like Trump don't mean I don't what's going on is wrong. I mean, there's no, and we've got Biden and his like taking pictures with hookers and crap, and his son, not Biden, and all that. And when do we draw? But he gets away with it. We're giving too many. It's cherry picked. It's all cherry picked. But when does it stop? When everyone right now? Oh well, it's Trump, so who cares? It's concerning. When does it stop? Oh, hold up. I cannot hear you. The heck? Give me a second. I'm having some sound issues.
No, you're not having sound issues. It's I was using my microphone on my tabletop microphone, and it disconnected for some reason. So
Okay,
I'm gonna swap. I want to swap over to this here. So we've been dealing with this stuff with Trump for 7 years. The guy didn't even really get a chance. I mean, it's the job he was able to do is astonishing, considering he didn't even get a chance to do the job properly because he was being investigated through the entire thing by a fake investigation that we now know because of the Durham report, which I keep pushing buttons on my phone. But the Durham report, we have the testimony from Durham. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we have the testimony from Durham on oh fuck, I forgot to record this. But it's okay, I got it streaming. But we forgot we have the testimony from John Durham and everything that's going on there. We're seeing how that's panning out and how that turned out to be a complete sham, a complete lie. Made up by Hillary Clinton, paid for by the Obamas and by Biden administration, and no justice is done to that. Hillary Clinton has 33,000 emails that we do know verifiably was hacked by the Russians and the Chinese. We know it was hacked. We know they got classified information, and Hillary Clinton was never president, so she never had the authority or ability to have classified documents. That's against the law. They're charging Trump, and I know you heard me read over these. They're charging Trump with 6 obstruction causes. That's each of those carry a 20-year prison sentence. Hillary Clinton actually obstructed justice when she bleach spitted her server and took hammers to the 6 Blackberries that she had as Secretary of State and destroyed the evidence that the FBI was seizing for these investigations. That's obstruction of justice. That's destroying documents, which is under 1519, under 18 USC and 2071. That's destroying and and mutilating documents, obliterating documents. That's how you get this charge that they're trying to charge Trump with. Trump didn't destroy any documents. He didn't falsify any documents. He didn't conceal any documents. They knew what the documents were. Not only did they know what the documents were, according to former Congressman Jason Chaffetz, the NARA, they already had all of the documents because all of the documents that President Trump had were copies of documents because they're all digitized. So they already had all of the documents. They just didn't want Trump to have any physical documentation, which he's the president of the United States. He is the executive branch. They don't get to tell him what to do. The only person that makes up the executive branch of government is the president, not the CIA, FBI, NARA, the vice president, the secretaries of state. None of those people are the executive branch of office. None of those people have any power over the president of the United States. The only people that have power over the president of the United States are the citizens of the United States. And the only way that they can revoke power from the president of the United States is if outlined under the Constitution in Article 2 that the president of the United States can be impeached for the following crimes and only the following crimes: treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors. High crimes and misdemeanors are things such as insider trading, quid pro quos, pay to play schemes, things that are done to enrich the president after he leaves office. Treason, which is what you would have to charge the president with to charge him with the Espionage Act. Treason is specifically defined. It is the only crime that I have been able to find that is defined in the Constitution. It's defined in Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution as the waging of war against the people of the United States or aiding the enemy of the United States and giving comfort to the enemies of the United States. That's treason. So the only way that you can charge the president of the United States with the Espionage Act or any of these bogus charges that they are throwing at President Trump is if first they charge him with treason, which, by the way, treason is a crime that only has one penalty. There is no jail time for treason. Treason's only penalty is death by hanging under the Constitution. So you'd have to charge the president with treason and sentence him to death in order to charge him with these crimes that they are trying to charge him with. But do you know who we actually have evidence of bribery? Joe Biden. We have a whistleblower. We have a whistleblower that the FBI paid $250,000 to secure this testimony, which, by the way, if a whistleblower is caught lying, they can be sentenced to death. So this whistleblower, multiple whistleblowers are putting their lives on the line, coming out against Joe Biden, saying that they have evidence and proof that Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from the Chinese government and the Ukraine authorities. We have a text message on WhatsApp from Hunter Biden in the middle of a pay-to-play quid pro quo bribery scheme, where he says in that text message on WhatsApp that I'm sitting right next to my father, Joe Biden. And if you don't give me the money, like I said, that we're going to hold a grudge and you're going to regret ever crossing us. You talk about a shakedown like a mob boss. We have evidence of this stuff. We have evidence of $30 million worth of bribery allegations from Joe Biden. We have evidence that from IRS whistleblowers that about the Hunter Biden stuff with Hunter Biden not paying his taxes. We have people who did far less tax evasion than Hunter Biden that are spending 190 years in prison for tax evasion, and Hunter Biden skipped out on paying $3 million in taxes, and he gets off with nothing. And they want to try to say that this is a fair justice system?
Oh, not in any way whatsoever.
Hunter Biden, think about this. If you or me, particularly me, but with the color of my skin,
being a black conservative,
if you or me were caught and the FBI took my computer and found out that I was snorting lines of cocaine off of a prostitute's ass, who's underage, mind you, and I was snorting coke and recording myself, fuck this bitch, who's 17 and I'm 50, you won't tell me that I would be in jail right now, probably on death's row?
For life, maybe get the noose. I mean, yeah, no, there ain't no arguing that. Well, I mean, there's arguing with anything, but you know what I mean. I mean, fuck. No firearm charges. Sitting
No
there
firearm
snorting
charges.
coke. No snorting
No
coke with a
firearm
fucking
charges
gun.
in the state that he is in, that he got charged with this firearm crime. It is against the law for somebody who is a convicted drug addict to possess a firearm.
Yeah.
And the
Jeez.
Democrats, with how they talk about firearms, have nothing to talk about a drug addict having a firearm illegally, by mind you.
Yeah, no, he didn't even go through the process. No, he just, I don't even know the story of exactly how, but I know it was not legally obtained. I forget what the story is.
It was not legally obtained, and yet
No
somehow
background check, no nothing.
he's in possession of it. No background check, nothing, no consequences. Let that be me or you.
Oh gosh, we're spending at least 10 years, maybe 12, maybe more, depending on which state we're in, how bad they want to throw the book at us. No, we're common people. They are the crown. We are the peasants in their eyes, and they just get away with. And oh well, what they do? Slap him on the wrist? I forget the exact story. He's not
No,
going to spend any jail time.
They didn't do jack shit to him.
Nothing.
He's. I think they're giving him a $3,500 fine.
Oh fuck! Fuck. That's about that's less than about a month paycheck for the average American. Big fucking deal.
And this guy, by the way, has a daughter he refuses to acknowledge. The DNA test proves that it's his daughter. Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge his own granddaughter. And he says that he is too poor to pay child support to his own daughter. And he's getting paid $80,000 a month from Ukraine to do jack shit.
Yeah, I was about to say, too poor. You could snort coke off of a fucking underage hooker's ass, but you're too poor to pay child support? Fuck. Cocaine's a rich man's drug.
I mean, this is the type of shit that really ticks me off.
And but I mean, but Trump's getting charged on the Espionage Act, so I mean, but these people aren't doing anything wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. They are the crown. They are above us in their eyes.
You know, I've gone through this indictment many times, and it's the most bogus crap that I've ever seen. The NARA says that they only needed 15 boxes. So why the fuck in this indictment are there over 100 boxes of documents that the FBI stole from President Trump's house? Why is it that they raided President Trump's wife's panty drawer?
Jeez. We all know they just wanted to see that. Probably gave some
I'm
back
sure,
to Joe Biden to fucking sniff, the weirdo.
I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to see Melania's panty drawer. I mean, Melania's a sexy bitch, but
I mean, who wouldn't? But I mean, no, that's fucked up.
But
Oh,
you know, give me Ivanka any day, though.
I mean, I give me either one of them. Hell, they're both gorgeous.
But that's besides the point here. But you take a look at what the Bidens have done, what the Clintons have done. Barack Obama broke the law when he had President Trump being wiretapped. They wiretapped Trump Tower. It's like, oh, that's just a conspiracy. No, we know it's the truth.
It happened. It's 100%.
It's 100% verified that it happened. They wiretapped and spied on Donald Trump's campaign, which is against the law.
Yes, but there's a different set of rules for them, though. So as long as you're blue, you can do whatever the fuck you want, I guess, in this country now. The media's going to kiss your ass. No matter what, you could murder children.
And Biden,
you could rape children. You could do whatever you want. You could just, as long as you're blue, blue no matter who.
Biden claims that he's never spoken to his son about his business dealings. We have a text message that shows that you did. We have emails that shows that you did. We had Tucker Carlson 2 years ago with Tony Bobolinsky from Ukraine comes on there and says that, yes, Biden is the big guy. I've spoken with him many times. We have multiple people, multiple witnesses, multiple testimonies, but they impeached Donald Trump because Donald Trump asked Zelensky to get down to the bottom of the corruption between what the hell is going on with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden over there in Ukraine, what actually happened, cooperate with our FBI so we can investigate this to figure out what happened. I mean, the crap that's actually going on is stupendous. It's outrageous.
Oh,
But you know what? We have to move on because I can stay on this all day.
and it's ain't no wonder why they want to disarm us.
I
We
can
get
stay.
tired of this shit. It don't take much.
Look, I hate to say this, but as it stands right now,
Easy. Don't get us on a well, I'm already probably on a couple of watch lists, but anyways, easy.
hey, we're the APA. We're on watch list just by existing. But if they succeed in any of this, they need to prepare for the bloodiest war in the history of this country. And that's the truth. Thomas Jefferson, and this is part of my closing, but I'm going to say it right now because I'm going to say it again when I close. Thomas Jefferson said when they founded this nation that he thought that every 4 to 5 years that the tree of liberty, and this is his quote, and I quote this. He says that the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure.
You know who the fucked up part is?
Every 4 to 5 years, Thomas Jefferson believed that we would have to have a civil war, a revolutionary war, not a civil war, that we have to have a revolutionary war and kill the members of government in order to keep our country free. That was Thomas Jefferson's original thoughts. Now, fortunately, we've only had to have one bloody war in America's history.
A little overdue for one. I hate to say it, but I mean, you know, Biden even fucking shammed that quote. Oh, where's my phone at?
And speaking of Biden's quotes, there's another thing. Biden comes up here and he says, "God save the Queen." Let me tell you something. The last time somebody in the United States said God save anything to do with the fucking British monarchy was the day of the Olive Branch Treaty, when King George III said to us that we are treasonous and that we will be hanged and killed. And the response from Samuel Adams was, "God damn the king." And that was the last time anybody said anything about British monarchy. And Joe Biden, "God save the Queen." The Queen is dead. What the fuck?
At this point, Biden's on the point of getting 76. I mean,
if time doesn't do it first, I'll be the first in line. I know that's going to put a target on my back right now with the FBI listening in on all of this shit. But the fact of the matter is, this is the most corrupt president in the history of presidents of the United States. There's never been more corruption than I've seen. And the fact of the matter is we are not America anymore. We are a third world country. The Biden administration has just reduced us to a third world country. And I'll get to this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to close on this topic because I do want to talk about our other topics. So let me get to my closing on this topic. So, in conclusion, America weeps as this country breathes its last. Our nation cannot be healed from this corruption, and we are now no longer America. It amazes me how quickly the sheep have allowed the wolf to infiltrate and slaughter our society. America is akin now to a third world country. Evil has no penalty, but the just are sentenced to die. Safety is forfeited for those who obey the law, but granted to those who would kill you where you stand. Heroes are made of drug dealers, while villains are made from parents protecting their children. They say that every major civilization is only allowed 250 years of power. And I say America is no exception to this, as Thomas Jefferson has quoted saying that the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants as it is its natural manure. Well, I would not wish to see my people bloodied. I can see few options for the corruption that we have here. And I'm gonna end this segment with a quote from the Declaration of Independence. And it says here, and I'm gonna read, you know what, I'm gonna read the first two paragraphs. It says here that when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, government are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experiences have shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But with a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. I want to end the quote there, and I want to end the segment here. But as always, I try to end things on light topics. So, James Bradshaw, my buddy, the Titan submersible, and the hilarity behind the irony.
Oh gosh.
So, James, did you know that the CEO of the Titan submersible claimed that the Titan was invulnerable?
Oh yeah, there has no such thing as an invulnerable sea vessel. Like anything in the history of sea vessels, unsinkable. Oh hell, the Titanic, ballsiest ship to ever exist. God himself couldn't sink this ship. Don't challenge God. Don't ever in your life challenge God. That is oh gosh. He's just saying, hey, I could challenge the most powerful being to exist. But no, you don't. Nothing. Well, here's the thing. As someone who has a background in construction, background in a lot of things involving building related, this fucking submarine was not that great built. It used a Logitech wireless. Hell, I have the Logitech controller literally hooked up. It's the wired equivalent hooked up to the computer I'm talking to you now. Yes, military uses Xbox controllers and things, but this thing was built dirt cheap. Like,
James, it was the size of a minivan. Five
my
people were in there.
Charger.
Five
I-
people were in there. It had one window, so they're all sitting around the one window surrounded by the pilot, and it looks to have been made from a used septic tank.
I have literally built decks that have had a higher budget than that submarine has. That's how fucking poorly built this thing was. And I don't understand what was going. These guys have made millions and millions, maybe even billions, and they should have enough common sense to know poor quality when they see it.
Well, James, the CEO is reported saying that if you are concerned about safety, then you should never leave your house. You shouldn't ride a bike. You shouldn't get in the car. You shouldn't walk outside. And that he cuts some corners. Well, he says that he was only concerned about nets and overhangs. But your chief engineer said that he was concerned about the integrity of the vessel's hull because he didn't think the hull could handle the pressure at 600 feet, let alone 12,500.
Be fair, it's about when it went down. Hell, I'm pretty sure they knew they were dead back on Sunday. I really do think they were all wiped. They were probably already dead. They just were milking it for the publicity.
Well, the Navy
says they fucked up.
The Navy says that it's possible that they have known about the implosion since Monday.
I don't even think that's
But-
a stretch. I
but
say
the thing-
Sunday.
But the thing is, what does the Navy have to? What that people are mad at the Navy, like, why didn't the Navy tell us? We wasted all this time. What does the Navy have to get involved in this? You're privately owned business.
Here's the thing. I still think there's political motivation behind it because this has got a lot of publicity, especially on
Well, it took a lot
media.
of attention off of Joe Biden.
You notice Fox News, Newsmax, more right-wing leaning, didn't really focus a lot on it. I mean, they focused on it, but that wasn't the big thing. Everywhere you see the submarine.
Of
And
course,
this was
because
just-
they didn't want to talk about the Joe Biden WhatsApp scandal, where we have Joe Biden on there admitting, where Hunter Biden admitting that Joe Biden is sitting next to him in the middle of a shakedown, and a bribery scandal. So of course the media doesn't want to cover that topic. But the irony here is that they named it the Titan to go see the Titanic.
Yeah,
They
just
called
add
it-
that IC and then watch it sink. Ooh,
They called it invulnerable, and to
Don't
go
work.
see the Titanic. But
I don't know.
the best thing for them is that it imploded, because if they had died from the loss of oxygen, that would have been the worst way to die because of the hallucinations and the delirium that would have happened, the sickness that would have happened, being especially in that cramped small space.
Hell,
So they died instantly, or they were turned into sludge.
this son of a bitch was smaller than this thing was about half the size of a shitty little apartment bedroom. This thing was smaller than the average car. My car has more space in that fucker than this fucking thing.
It was stated that the inside of it was the size of a small minivan.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. What I don't understand. And here's the thing: there's one window. Well, here's another thought process. You want to see the Titanic? You have one view, and the view wasn't even that large.
Yeah, you wanted to see the Titanic, and you know what? I I don't know, but I don't even think the thing had fucking lights on it.
I think it had. I read it had front lights, of course, to see what's in front of them. But that's it.
Like
That's
this is really a marvel of genius ingenuity here.
here's the thing. I could probably give me about 10 grand. I could probably build something almost similar to that submarine, going down to Home Depot and tinkering around with some shit.
Well, hell, they went to Best Buy to get the parts.
I mean, no, the control system literally, like I said, my computer right now that I use to talk to you on has the literal control, the wired equivalent to the controller they use to control the fucker. Like, this isn't. These people are millionaires, and you think they'd have a common sense of, hey, this is a problem. No, nope. Oh well, what's the worst that could happen? This guy guaranteed it. We signed waivers.
Yeah, you would think that would be a big red flag. Hey, sign this waiver. In the event
But
that you blow up, that with my company won't be responsible.
but then that's the same thing.
But the CEO is dead too. He went down with the ship.
Oh, well,
He was on the vessel, and he
I guess a good
imploded
captain
too.
goes down with his ship. So
I mean, gotta give him credit for that much at least.
oh man, I mean,
but did you see
it's
how quickly the memes showed up of this? Have you seen the illustration,
oh,
the simulation of that?
my friends were laughing. My friend made a post about laughing at it, and I commented, well, you know what? This is the second lowest post I've seen today, this week. I mean, I don't feel. I know it's yes, you loss of life.
I
It's
don't feel bad for them
sad, but I
because
don't feel
they
bad
they
for them.
they knew it was stupid. They signed a waiver to get into it. I don't feel bad for these people. Oh, you're a bunch of rich fuckers who should have taken the safety of this uh much more seriously than you did.
It's
And
like these people that you see buy these multi-million-dollar sports cars and never understand how they work. They'll drive them 150, 200 miles an hour, and then they wrap the fucker around a post and die. I'm sorry. You didn't. You knew what you gotten yourself into. You should have learned it. You should have learned what you were doing. No, you just threw yourself at it and just, hey, let me have fun, and then boom, look, you fucked yourself. No lube. Like, I don't.
raw dog at that.
Raw
Hey,
dog, yeah.
hey James, I want you to look at this. So this is the meme that's been going all around here. Let me pop this up here on screen number one. There we go. We're gonna
This has
do
been comedy
optimize that.
gold going around these fucking
So
memes.
this is the meme here. Can you see this?
Okay. Yeah.
Bam.
I say up. Oh! I
So
mean,
this is essentially what happened. They're like, oh, we're gonna go see the Titanic. Boom.
they didn't even get within range according to what I've looked up.
No, I doubt they even got half the distance.
I mean, structural integrity is everything.
I doubt they got half the distance. Some people are trying to claim that they got 1,000 feet from it. That vessel could not go down 11,000 feet. That vessel probably imploded at maybe 3,000 feet.
Oh, heck. That's generous.
I think it could survive 600 feet. I really do think it could survive 600 feet.
After about 1,000, it's done dealing.
But I think after 1,000 feet, it's. I mean, it was probably facing structural damage after 1,000 feet. They should have launched their emergency system and ascended right after 1,000 feet. But no, they decided, oh no, let's just keep going. And
We'll be
and
fine.
by that time, the hull probably cracked. Water was probably filling up inside of it. And before they could even drown, that's when the implosion happened.
Well, at least it was like you said, at least it was fast and painless.
Oh, wasn't painless.
I doubt they had time to feel it. They were dead before they realized what was happening.
Because the thing is,
I
the
hate those.
the
There's
the implosion would have happened much slower than people give credit for, because it's not like they sunk quickly. This was a 6.5 hour dive, so they were being crushed slowly until the
I
point
read
of implosion. Until the
somewhere
point of
they
implosion.
lost communication at what, 4 hours?
Yeah.
They're
So they were
probably
being
done by then.
so they were being crushed slowly until the point of implosion. So they went down far enough, and they were already getting structural damage. At that point, when the structural damage happening, they already said that they had concerns about the safety mechanism, the emergency deployment of the buoys that would help them ascend. They already had safety concerns about that. So I think that at this point, when they when the tank started taking pressure damage, that malfunctioned. It couldn't work anymore. So they had no choice but to continue to descend. And once they got to a certain level, then next thing you know, they were being crushed slowly, and then all of a sudden, bam, crushed like a can.
I don't.
Because it's impossible that they weren't aware that they were being crushed before the actual implosion happened. Because you don't just get to that pressure and immediately get crushed. You start getting crushed before you reach the pressure of implosion.
I wonder
So
who did they all just say, "Hey, yo, let's keep going. What's the worst that could happen?" Or they all, well, I don't know. Did anyone say, "Hey, I have"? That's a question. Did someone say, "Hey, I have my doubts," and like, "Oh, you're being a worry war." Oh,
the CEO is just probably like, just keep going.
oh well, my vessel. I'm in charge of this shit show. We go back up when I say so. What's the worst that could happen? Oh fuck. Famous last words of a fool.
You
Yes.
know, if anybody survived the initial implosion, their death would have been swift afterwards. If anybody survived it, maybe got sliced in half and was still breathing, the
Oh,
pain and the shock, they would have opened their mouth and engulfed and drowned almost instantly. And then the pressure of the surrounding water around them would have exploded their internal organs.
yeah, no. The two worst ways I can imagine to die is drowning and burning to death.
Yeah, or that and been dropped in a, in a volcano.
Same thing, burning to death. I mean, fuck.
But you're burning and drowning.
There. I don't know. I just they fucked up. I mean, yeah, it was shady to begin with. Paid 250 grand to die. I mean,
Hey,
the world's most, well, no, I'm sure there's more expensive funerals, but
the world's
what
most
the fuck?
expensive suicide letter.
Yeah. I don't, I don't know what was going through their minds. Except I know as soon as it happened, I know it was going through, nothing was going through their mind. Their mind was getting slaughtered. They were just getting crunched.
Their brain was probably falling out of their ears by that point.
Oh, hell. It probably didn't go nowhere. It probably just got crushed and fucking brain probably got turned to damn near diamond from the pressure.
Mm.
No one questioned. They didn't ask enough questions. They didn't question the, you know, there's a good reference at society. No one asks enough questions. No one considers anything enough until it's fucking you and it's game over. I mean, that's a good
Question
analogy.
question everything. Learn everything. Challenge everything. These are basic principles of what should be advanced human civilization.
Oh, we damn near.
But
turned
we
into
have
Starbucks.
devolved into degeneracy. So you know,
How
it
much
doesn't
of
doesn't surprise.
idiocracy is non? How much of idiocracy is fiction? Shit like this makes me question it.
Well, fiction is based off of reality, so they had to have some idiots before they could make their fictional stories.
Oh.
But Jameson, my bub, my friend, my fellow drinking buddy, whom we shall, after 5:30, mind you, go to the bar tomorrow.
Actually, I was thinking. Well, I'll talk to you about it afterwards. I was thinking we do a little bit more than that. We'll go to the bar, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh man, okay. So I want to thank you for joining me here on the show. I want to thank my buddy the Owl Man for joining me while he had the time. I know he ran into some technical difficulties.
I swear I
And
might drive over there when I make my vacation and give him a hand. Fuck, I don't know. Would it make you jealous if I visited the Owl Man before you?
well, I was actually going to go to New York, but you see, the issue that happened was there was a fucking crash on the interstate on the way to New Orleans, and I get there. So, firstly, I had lost my ID, so I was like, you know what? I need my ID. I got. So I went to after work. I went to the DMV to get an ID. I sat there in line for like 2 hours, and then 5:30 hits. I'm like, oh, it's 5:30. We're kicking everybody out. I'm like, I've been sitting here for 2 fucking hours, you stupid bitch, and I'm gonna get my ID. And so I drove. So I drove over to the airport
I'm
anyway.
inefficiency.
Turns out I didn't need my ID because they were going to give me a boarding pass. And so that hour and a half I wasted trying to get my ID caused me to run into a crash on I-10 on the way over to New Orleans. That held me up for another hour. So when I got to the plane, I missed the plane. I didn't even miss the plane. They had closed the dock to the plane 10 minutes after I got 10 minutes before I got the boarding pass. So the plane hadn't left yet, but they weren't letting anybody else on.
That's why I don't fuck with New Orleans Airport. Gulfport's better. It really.
Oh, New Orleans, I was going there because I went with Spirit Airlines because it was the cheapest ticket to New York at the time. So like $87. The other tickets for American Airlines is going to cost me like 190 something.
Delta. Go Delta, my friend. I mean, they're just better quality. And
Go
I ain't no
first
sponsor.
class, my buddy.
Yeah, hell, I still got connections from when I worked at the airport. It's amazing to think how the current me blows the old me that worked at the airport out of the water.
You know, I still have connections at the airport myself.
Granted, a
But
lot of them moved on to bigger and better things too. I went there the other day because my father made a trip out, and I said
that's
hi to
enough
a lot of
talk.
people.
We don't need to hear any more of this. We got to end the show. You can talk
All
about
right,
that
well,
after the show.
fair enough.
Well, I want to thank my guests. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. I know this episode was longer than intended, and you guys had to wait 20 minutes before I even started the episode. But I'm going to start getting back in the rhythm of doing things. And I'm going to be doing my episodes probably solo from here on out because it's becoming extremely difficult to get my co-host to respond to emails and show up on time for shows. So I'm probably going to go back to doing things solo from now on, and have occasional guest appearances and things like that. So remember, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube, follow us anywhere and everywhere that you can. To Serve America, PNW, to Serve America Pace, and Williams, and we will see you guys the next time.